Hello guys, and welcome back to my beginner's guide to Prison Architect. In the last episode we covered cell block A, and then I went along and finished off cell block B as well. Just I'd taken it and I needed a bit extra cash really. Just need to finish off this last cell here. One thing, if you did watch the episode, you might have noticed I said if you don't have your toilets lined up, you don't plan on your how your water's going to run around the prison, then you end up with messy things like this, which, to be honest, I don't like. It just looks a mess, and it can be a bit of a pain sometimes, and it probably costs more. I mean, this one here is nice and simple, straight up. Done. Didn't need this part, that was a misclick, but yeah, just to reiterate, planning is important. Try and plan your prison and where you're going to put things, even when it comes down to where you're going to put the water and where you're going to put all your electrics. So in this episode, we are covering the next grant, which is inmate health and well-being. And we get a 10 grand advance payment for this and a 10 grand completion bonus. That's 20 grand up for grabs in total. It's pretty simple. All you got to do is build a medical ward and hire at least 2 doctors and hire a psychologist who requires an office. So I'm just going to click on that and get going. Right, so the first thing we're going to need is an infirmary, but we need to unlock health. So if we go up to our bureaucracy screen, see it comes under the warden, and we just click unlock health, and it's going to take us 6 hours to complete that. So I will get back to you once that's done. Okay, so that's finished. The powers of video editing, you don't have to sit through the 6 hours there. But you can, you know you're going to take that grant next, you can click on that and get it going as soon as you've built your first 2 offices. You don't really need it until you start getting prisoners into the prison. And we are sort of cheating slightly. I have built quite a big prison already with starting funds. I haven't cheated this time. It's all legitimate. So we need to move on to building a medical ward and an office, and then hire at least 2 doctors. We're going to build the buildings first. First building, the infirmary, needs to be indoors and it needs to have a medical bed in it. But that's not a lot of requirements really. It doesn't have a particular size it needs to be. Medical beds are 2 by 2. So technically, down here, you could build your medical ward that size and just have a bed in it and a door on it. But I think that looks a little bit silly, and I tend to put a few medical beds in. It depends on how big you want your prison, but medical beds allow you prisoners to go on the course rehabilitation, drug rehabilitation. We get our programs up yet. Yes, we can. Workshop guard tank. Oh, not in there. It's the one that makes them come off drugs. So if they're addicted to drugs, then you can put them on this course and gives them a replacement, like methadone if they're on heroin or something like that, and you can actually reform your prisoners and get them off drugs while they're inside your prison. So now this is built, we're going to have it about this size. Make it as large as you like. As I say, if you want a lot of prisoners to do this course, so you think you're going to have a lot of problems, then it might be a good idea to build it bigger, because then you can get more beds in. Every prisoner will need a bed to do the course. Now you can put any door you want on this. I'll usually have usually a staff door or a jail door, just so the prisoners can't get in here on their own. If they do, I've noticed them going in sometimes. That does mean that when you want them to go on the course, you have to open the door for them or get a guard to open the door. Or you can set up door servos and door timers. You haven't got storage. You can set up a storage quickly as well, so they move the stuff out of our way. Storage. Where's storage? Storage. Storage I'll cover quickly. It's just a room Can be any size. And they will put all this useless stuff that we're not using at the minute, like this light and right here, shower heads, I think they are actually. Bare bits of materials, they'll just put them in storage. So instead of having them littering around your prison, they had some up in this cell block from when I built this, and yeah, they'll just move them to one area and drop them down. Everything does need a square, so the more things you have to store, the bigger the area you need to assign. But when you're first starting and building things, you can just drop it anywhere you want, just keep things out of the way basically. So this is going to be our infirmary. I'm just going to plumb this in. Doesn't need any water in the infirmary. All it needs is electrical cable. Now if you are playing with random events on and you have a workshop in your prison, I will cover in a later video, there is a chance that one of the prisoners could seriously hurt themselves in the workshop and be unable to be moved. So you have to get a doctor to run them down to the workshop before they bleed to death. If you have the virus outbreak, I think you need to get prisoners into the infirmary. So it's a good idea to have the infirmary inside of your prison, not in your staff area. Find this a staff area, fenced it off a little bit. Then we could have all our offices up here, and not have our prisoners allowed to be up here. Stop them stealing things from offices. But the infirmary, you should really have it inside your prison. Your prisoners need to access it to do the courses, and to be able to go there to get healed if they've been involved in a fight or something. So we're just going to go to rooms, and we're going to go infirmary and section this off as an infirmary. As I said, all it needs in the infirmary is a medical bed. You can have these any way you like. So we're going to have one there like that. We're going to stack a few in here. So as I said, we can get a lot of prisoners on the rehabilitation course. We have a lot of drug addicts come into our prison. As soon as that first bed went down, it completed. That was our first completion. So now we just need a doctor and a psychologist off. Now another thing that is kind of linked to the infirmary is the morgue. Now you don't need a morgue. If you don't have a morgue, then and someone gets killed or a few people get killed, they will just sort of litter the prison where they died until the hearse comes down and parks up, and then they're moved to the hearse. So I will usually build myself a little morgue. It doesn't have to be massive unless you planning for a lot of people to be killed in your prison. For now we're just going to stack it on the side of here. And it needs to have a morgue slab in it. Our workman finish this and then we'll assign it. Easier way to find the objects you need to put into places. Now because I selected the foundations from that wall there like that, it's demolished this wall. We're just going to drop our morgue in and put our wall back in there, move the section, and I'll usually have this as a staff door or a jail door. Prisoners don't need to come into the morgue for any reason, unless they're dead of course. If they're dead, they're being escorted, they're not going in here of their own free will. So you have your little morgue slab here, and you can spin these round again any way you want. Don't need to have space around them. So we're just going to have 4 in like that. And as soon as we get a morgue slab in there, that will complete that room. Then a morgue is not a requirement. None of the grants actually ask you to build a morgue, but I'll usually put one in just in case there is a few deaths. The lovely morgue slab. If prisoners die now in the prison, they'll be taken into the morgue, put on slabs until the hearse arrives, and then they will be moved onto the hearse and out of the prison. Now we need a psychologist who requires an office. Now we could go over here and build ourselves another office. We said this was our staff only area. Get a fence, say like that. And like that, something. Just sectioned off this front part. Gonna grab that quickly while it's shown. Come on, speedy, speedy. Oh, they finished already. And then we just add that like that. So we said this is our new office for our psychologist. All of this area here is staff only. Prisoners aren't allowed near the offices. I mean, that would work fine. Your psychologist would work. But you would not be able to use the psychologist to do behavioural therapy. Is where a prisoner needs to go into the psychologist's office. There's a meeting with the psychologist. Try and curb his behaviour. Stop him being so violent or volatile. The Alcoholics program, which the psychologist also conducts. The Alcoholics Anonymous kind of meeting. The psychologist will move into a common room. So if we had the meeting going on in here, he would go from his office into the prison and into the common room to conduct the meeting in the common room. So you could not run behavioural therapy at all and keep your psychologist over here in the staff only section. But what I tend to do is build him an office next to the infirmary. So we're just going to tack it on here. Show you the way of building. We didn't select that wall this time. We could have gone from there and across, but we didn't. Left this wall, went from there. So when they build this, it will keep this wall intact. That could be useful. It saves you rebuilding walls when you don't want to. And we're just going to have a... Whoops. I'm probably going to have a normal door on this one. Because we want prisoners to be able to get into here to do their course. And we've got a jail door on here already, so if they've got into this bit, they could probably get into this bit anyway. And you can't section this office as staff only either if you want your prisoners to do the course. Behavioural therapy course, because they won't be allowed into this office, so they won't be able to do the course. It will flash up when you go to your programs. All areas staff only, I think it says. So just bear that in mind, because prisoners can steal things from the psychologist's office. If you've played escape mode, then you'll know that it's a good source of lighters. Well, prisoners don't tend to use lighters in creative mode of the game. They'll tend to steal booze, things like that from the office though. And what else can you get in the office? Lighters, booze, and I think there's something else that they are prone to steal. The lighters are less of an issue, it's more the booze you don't want them stealing. And metal detectors won't detect booze, so the psychologist's office requires the same as any other office. A filing cabinet, a chair, and an office desk. And it needs to be 4x4. See, I've built this one a little bit larger. That's because what I like to do, say this is unnecessary, it doesn't add anything, doesn't make the program go any better or increase the chance of anyone passing the programs or anything like that. I just think it looks nice. So I'll tend to have a sofa. I'm going to put a sofa, I'll put it like that. It doesn't matter too much. I'll have a wide sofa for the prisoner to lay on. And then I'll have a small sofa for the psychologist to sit in with his notepad and go, interesting. I mean, the prisoners won't actually sit on these. They'll just stand in the office and conduct the course that way. But just my own personal amusement, I guess. My own aesthetics. I think it looks nice with the office, with a chair and a sofa. And then we need to hire the psychologist. So we go down to staff and psychologist. You need psychology. Bugger. Got another one. So you need to unlock health and you also need to unlock psychology. You forget about that one. So you can unlock these separately. You just unlock the psychologist and give him an office. You will Unlocking the Psychologist provides you with valuable insight into your prisoner's internal psychological state at all times. So that will basically give you the little thermometer bar up here you will usually see. It is quite important to have this so you know when your prisoners are happy and when they're not. They're liable to kick off when it gets too high. And it also unlocks the needs. So you can pinpoint exactly where you're failing your prisoners, where they're being unhappy. So the food need might be too high and they'll be red. You can see that quickly and go, oh, I don't have enough canteens. I haven't given my prisoners enough time to eat in the canteen because it takes them more than an hour to walk from this cell block up here down into the canteen. He was lagging, so I'm just going to stop now and wait until that's completed. Now the 6 hours are up, our psychology has been unlocked. We can go back down and hire ourselves a psychologist. In the staff menu, psychologist. Here you go. Now you can hire yourself more than one psychologist, but each one will require an office. You can have, if you have 2 psychologists, that means you can have 2 of the programs running at the same time. You could have behavioral therapy running, and you could have the alcoholics group therapy running at the same time. So the programs only run when the prisoners are in work time. So say we had work time, example here. Week time in, so I don't forget and get prisoners in and screw things up. So we've got 4 hours of work time between 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So we'll say 1 and 4. These, you could have behavioral therapy running in the psychologist's office. You could have 1 session between 1 and 2, or 1 and 3, and you could have the next session between 3 and 5 in these 2 slots. And if you had a second psychologist, you could also have the alcoholics group therapy program running in the common room. One like between 1 and 3, and the next between 3 and 5. So that would be one advantage of getting yourself 2 psychologists for 2 offices. It's a little bit more expensive because these guys are $200 a day, and they do need the office, which uses a little bit of space. Usually I'll just build a 1 psychologist office and have 1 psychologist. Usually sufficient for me. Maybe if you have a lot of max security prisoners and a lot of them are violent and a lot of them have been referred to this behavioral therapy course, or you have a lot of alcoholics, you want to try and get them all off their dependency for alcohol, and you have a lot of, or if you have a lot of both, then you may want to have a second psychologist office. You could put that in your staff only area up here and use this psychologist for running the Alcoholics Anonymous group, and then use this psychologist in this room to run the behavioral therapy in this room. It's entirely up to you. Usually as though 1's enough, I would say. And then the last thing we need to do is hire 2 doctors. So we're just going to do our little trick again. Hiring them, completing the grant, and then sacking them straight away. But we don't have to pay them every day. Now we could do the same thing with the psychologist. He is quite expensive. We'd only need to run another 5 days without needing him, or we'd start saving money. Usually I'll keep him though, because he has an office. Anyone who gets an office I tend to keep. The psychologist doesn't research anything else for me, so there's no point in keeping him around for that. If we were to sack our accountant, then we'd have to rehire if we wanted to get the bank loan or the tax relief. Or if we fired our warden, we'd have to rehire him every time we wanted to unlock one of these. And that would probably cost us more money than it would save us. Because you do have to pay every time you drop one of these guys in. They're not like walls where you get them back. But with general staff, especially doctors, you can usually wait until you absolutely need one. You can get your prisoners in and you can have them running around for a couple of days, and then when someone gets into a fight, then you can hire a doctor and get them healed that way. But I think that's about it for this episode. I hope it's been helpful, and I hope you've learned a few little tips and tricks. If you have, then please give this video a like. If you want to drop me a comment, if you want to see something in the next video or in a future video, then you can drop me a comment below. I'm still working on another challenge map for escape mode. I'll post my original challenge map down in the description below, where you're tasked with breaking out a maximum security prisoner. I don't know why I'm going up here. Up here in the other map, you start off in medium security and you have to get up to supermax security to break these prisoners out. Oh, that is the challenge I set for you. Makes escape mode a little bit more interesting. Can be a little bit dull once you've learned the mechanics and you know how to rep farm and amass yourself an army of super legendary prisoners with all their stats maxed out, and you just walk yourself out the front door. But hopefully they will change those mechanics soon. I think the game gets updated on Friday the 13th of November. It's only a week or so away now. Well, I'll be looking forward to that. I'll post a video with the new content in it once I've got my head around it. So thank you again for watching. Oh, and thank you very much to everyone who subscribed. Now up to 20 subscriptions, which is fantastic. So thank you very much for that, guys. I love you all deeply. And I will catch you guys next time.